Last chance, arrive in 10 minutes or the job is gone. She sprinted through the rain, heart pounding. This interview was her one shot. Her future, her family's survival, everything depended on it. Then she saw him. An elderly man, blind and disoriented, stranded in the downpour. Walking past meant securing her dream job. Stopping meant risking it all. She made her choice, and in that moment, fate made one for her too. Welcome, and let's get started. Ann Kane was a 25-year-old recent graduate, clutching her umbrella as she hurried down Oakwood Avenue in the pouring rain. Her worn leather shoes, the only pair nice enough for interviews, were already soaked through, the soles squelching with every step. But she didn't care about wet feet. She cared about making it to her third job interview that week, desperately hoping it wouldn't end in the same hollow politeness and empty promises as the last two. All that mattered was making it to Wayne Enterprises by 9 a.m. The sleek, imposing building loomed ahead, a beacon of hope piercing through the morning downpour. Life hadn't been easy since graduation 6 months ago. Unlike her classmates, who had jobs lined up at major firms thanks to internships and family connections, Anne had moved back home to help her parents with bills. Her father's stroke last year had left the family financially crippled. Medical bills stacked up faster than her mother's double shifts at the local hospital could pay them off. The stress of watching her parents struggle had kept her up countless nights, her mind racing with guilt and helplessness. It was a far cry from the ambitious life she had envisioned during her years at college. Her degree in marketing, which she had earned with distinction, now felt like a cruel joke. Every rejection letter that landed in her inbox was another blow to her confidence, a reminder that hard work and passion weren't always enough. But this interview? This was different. Wayne Enterprises wasn't just another corporate giant. It was the corporate giant, known for its philanthropy and employee welfare programs, and Wayne Enterprises was offering an entry-level position that perfectly matched her skills. The starting salary would cover her student loans and help her parents with medical bills. When she received the interview invitation, she cried with relief. Now, at 8:47 a.m., Anne was just 3 blocks from the Wayne building. Her legs ached from the frantic pace she had kept up since leaving the bus stop, and her drenched shoes squished with every step. The rain was relentless, pouring down like icy needles, but she didn't care. Her entire future depended on making it to that interview on time. Her phone buzzed again, making her heart leap into her throat. Another text from the HR department, the words glowing ominously on her cracked screen. Position in high demand. Punctuality essential. Be advised, interview slot will be given to the next candidate if arrival is delayed. Anne's stomach twisted with panic. She checked Google Maps with trembling fingers. 2 minutes behind schedule, 2 minutes away from losing the only opportunity she'd had in months. If she hurried, if she pushed herself just a little harder, she might still make it. She quickened her pace, her breath coming out in ragged gasps as she navigated the bustling sidewalks. The city seemed to conspire against her, pedestrians who couldn't seem to walk in a straight line, puddles that splashed mud onto her already ruined shoes, and cars that honked as if punishing her desperation. Then she saw him. An elderly man with a white cane was standing in the rain near a construction zone, his head turning slowly as if trying to make sense of his surroundings. He looked lost, his cane tapping against construction barriers with growing frustration. The usual landmarks he relied on were hidden by towering scaffolding and bright orange cones. The steady flow of pedestrians parted around him like water around a rock, everyone too caught up in their own worlds to notice his struggle. Anne wasn't the only one who noticed him. Just ahead, a sharply dressed man in his late 20s strode down the rain-soaked sidewalk, his polished leather shoes miraculously avoiding the puddles that splashed up around him. His navy blue suit was immaculate, the kind of tailored perfection that practically screamed success. In one hand he gripped a sleek leather briefcase, the other clutching his phone as he muttered rapidly into the device, his words lost beneath the relentless downpour. But his determined pace made it clear he was a man with somewhere important to be. As he approached the construction zone, the man's eyes flickered toward the old blind man standing helplessly in the rain. He hesitated for a moment, glancing at him. The old man fumbled with his cane, trying to find his way around the barrier. The man in the suit hesitated, his shoulders tensing as if the mere thought of stopping was an inconvenience. His gaze shifted from the elderly man's trembling hands to the glowing numbers on his expensive wristwatch. He exhaled sharply, a frustrated sigh escaping his lips, followed by a low grumble. "Sorry, not today," he muttered under his breath. His voice was hollow, more apologetic to himself than to the man he was abandoning. Anne caught a glimpse of his folder as he strode away. Wayne Enterprises interview packet. He was heading to the same place she was. She checked her phone again. 8:49 a.m. The Wayne building's glass tower was visible just ahead. She took one step forward, then stopped. The old man's coat was getting soaked, the thin fabric clinging to his bony shoulders as the rain poured down with relentless intensity. His trembling hands kept reaching for his pocket, patting the damp fabric over and over again, probably searching for a phone, Anne guessed. But he looked so lost, his fingers shaking with frustration rather than any real hope of finding help. His white cane kept tapping against the metal barriers like a desperate plea for direction. Anne's chest tightened as she stared at him. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, clear and firm. Character is what you do when no one's watching. But her own voice rose up just as quickly, angry and desperate. But if you don't make it to this interview, you'll lose everything you've been working for, everything your family needs you to do. This job is your lifeline. Her stomach twisted as the inner conflict raged on. The rain felt colder somehow, seeping through her cheap coat and chilling her to the bone. This was her chance, her one shot to turn things around. 6 months of rejection letters. 6 months of watching her mother's hands grow calloused from double shifts at the hospital. Her father's frail body struggling to recover from the stroke that had left him half paralyzed. Their tiny house, with its leaky roof and unpaid bills piling up on the kitchen table. Just walk away, her own voice urged. You're almost there. 2 blocks away. Wayne Enterprises is right there. They'll move on to the next candidate if you're late. You can't afford to do this. But her mother's words wouldn't leave her. They clung to her like the rain-soaked fabric clung to her skin. Impossible to ignore. Character is what you do when no one's watching. Anne's phone vibrated in her hand, the screen lighting up with yet another text from the HR department. Final reminder, punctuality is essential. Interview slot will be given to the next candidate if you are late. The letters blurred as she stared at them, her heart pounding like a jackhammer in her chest. It's not your problem. Just go, the voice of fear and urgency insisted. They don't know your situation. They don't care. They'll just give the job to someone else. Anne's breath came in shallow gasps, her pulse throbbing in her ears. But her eyes were locked on the old man's face. The way his proud posture sagged beneath the weight of helplessness, his head tilted from side to side as he tried to listen past the roar of traffic and construction noise, his white cane tapping harder, more desperately against the metal poles. She took one step forward, her foot splashing into a puddle, then another, but her gaze kept straying to the man. The choice wasn't supposed to be this hard. She had been preparing for this interview for weeks, rehearsing her answers, perfecting her resume, even borrowing her mother's old scarf to make her frayed coat look somewhat professional. This was her last chance to prove to herself, to her family, that all the struggle, all the sacrifice, hadn't been for nothing. Her chest tightened, the pressure building until it felt like she might burst. What kind of person would she be if she walked away now? Her mother's voice was a whisper now, drowned out by the howling storm, but still there, still holding her in place. "Excuse me, sir," she heard herself say, her voice breaking through the rain and the noise like a fragile beam of light. "Do you need help?" The old man's head snapped toward her voice, his face lifting with a mixture of relief and dignity. Even soaked to the skin, he held himself like a man who had seen better days but refused to be broken by the bad ones. "Thank you, young lady," he said, his tone polite but trembling. "My phone died and I can't reach my driver. These construction barriers—" He gestured weakly, his hands slicing through the air like a broken compass. Anne stepped closer, her umbrella stretching over his head to shield him from the worst of the rain. But the storm was the least of her worries. The real storm was still raging inside her. "Let me help you find somewhere dry. Do you know your driver's number?" The man smiled gratefully. "I do, but my phone—" He patted his pockets with a shaking hand. Anne glanced at her phone. 8:55 a.m. Another text flashed. "Final warning. Interview slot reassignment imminent." She swallowed hard and turned off the notifications. "You can use my phone, sir. Let's get you under that awning first." She gently guided him toward a nearby building entrance. The man gripped her arm with surprising strength. "You're very kind," he said. "But you sound young. Aren't you heading to work? I don't want to make you late." Anne thought of the Wayne building, now barely visible through the rain. "Nothing that can't wait," she said softly. "Let's call your driver." The man recited a phone number, his voice becoming steadier now that they were out of the rain. Anne dialed, keeping one hand supportively on his arm. "Duke?" "Yes, I'm with your employer. We're outside the Carlton building on Oakwood." She listened for a moment. "No, he's fine. Just got caught in the construction." "Yes, I'll stay with him." Hanging up, Anne smiled at the elderly man. "Duke says he'll be here in 15 minutes. Traffic's bad because of the rain." "You're very good at this," the man said thoughtfully. "Taking charge of a situation. Most people just walk past." Anne shrugged. "My father, he had a stroke last year. I learned a lot about helping someone navigate a suddenly challenging world." "Ah," the man nodded. "That explains it. Character built through experience." He paused. "But you still haven't told me what you're missing to help me." Anne checked her phone one last time. 9:08 a.m. 6 missed calls from Wayne Enterprises. 1 final text. "Interview slot reassigned. Position filled. Best of luck in your search." Her heart sank, but she kept her voice steady. "Just a job interview. There will be others." The man's grip on his cane tightened slightly. "Must have been important for you to be out in this weather so early." "Wayne Enterprises," Anne said quietly. "Entry-level position in their community outreach department. I really needed that job." The man tilted his head. "Wayne Enterprises? The big glass tower 2 blocks down?" "That's the one. My degree's in public relations with a minor in social work." "I wanted to help them expand their charitable foundation." Anne smiled sadly. "I had all these ideas about corporate responsibility and community impact." "Tell me one," the man said suddenly. "Excuse me?" "One idea. Tell me your best idea for corporate community impact. We have 10 minutes until Duke arrives. Impress me." Something about his tone made Anne stand straighter. She took a deep breath and shared her concept, the one she had planned for her interview. Wayne has all these empty office spaces in their satellite buildings. My idea was to convert them into after-school study centers, get their employees to volunteer as tutors, build connections between corporate success and community education, show kids that corner offices aren't just for other people's children. She talked for several minutes, her passion overtaking her disappointment. The man listened intently, asking sharp questions about logistics and costs. A sleek black limousine pulled up to the curb. "Ah, there's Duke," the man said. "Right on time." He turned to face Anne fully. "My dear, would you help me to the car and then perhaps join me for a short drive?" Anne hesitated. The man seemed kind, but... "Duke," he called to the driver, who was hurrying over with an umbrella. "Show the young lady your ID. She's quite sensibly reluctant to get in a car with strangers." The driver pulled out a Wayne Enterprises security badge. Beneath his photo, Executive Transport Division. Anne's heart started pounding. "You see," the elderly man said, his voice taking on a different tone, "I really should introduce myself properly. I'm Robert Wayne." Her breath caught. "You're Robert Wayne? As in, the CEO of the company that just texted you about missing your interview?" "Yes." Her legs felt weak. "But," he continued, "I think we can agree that you had a much more impressive interview right here on Oakwood Avenue." Anne barely remembered the elevator ride, but when she saw her name on the office door, Anne Kane, Director of Community Outreach, she knew. She hadn't lost an opportunity that morning. She had found the right one and thought she was just helping a stranger. But some moments are destined to be more than just a passing choice, because in the end, it's not the opportunities we chase, but the lives we touch along the way. One act of kindness can change the course of a life, proving that success isn't just about timing, it's about character. If this story moved you, tap that like button and subscribe for more. Share one word in the comments that captures how this story made you feel. Until next time, stay kind and keep believing in the power of good.